I got them two tracks.
Hi guys, what's going on? Ripjaws here, back with another video, and today I'd like to build a computer. Well, I did build a computer. So this computer is to replace two computers, a really old Mac and a slightly newer laptop for gaming and for recording and for video editing. They weren't cutting it, and I needed a cheap solution. So this is about $800. I have a monitor, keyboard, got everything that I need, and does everything fine. I ordered parts on the 26th and they didn't come until a couple days ago, so that's why I haven't been making any videos. I've been waiting till a new computer comes so I can just up the quality just a little bit. But yeah, that's why for about 2-3 weeks I haven't posted anything. But can't wait to jump back in. Got all that new software and everything going. So yeah, that's it. Let's get into the part selection. So what I need for this computer to do was rendering well and gameplay recording. So I picked my parts according to that and then tried to cut corners everywhere else. So for the processor, I went with an AMD FX 6300, which is a 6-core CPU clocked at 3.5 GHz from AMD. It has an unlocked multiplier, allowing for easy overclocking. The thing I really like about this processor is that it's a really good budget processor. I get a lot for the amount of money I'm spending, which is about $120. And yeah, 6 cores is going to help me a lot in video rendering and situations where I need multiple cores, such as recording gameplay. But the biggest assistance to recording gameplay comes later on. For the motherboard, I went with a Biostar TA970. It's a pretty good motherboard. I mean, not great, but it was cheap. About $70. I'm getting USB 3.0, room for stuff, but none of the, extra bells and whistles. It's pretty much just something cheap, but something that hopefully will be reliable. The video card will be a little bit more of a surprise to some of you. The AMD options have better price to performance value, but I found that I really wanted to make use of NVIDIA's Shadowplay feature, which is why I decided to go with the GTX 950. I had a pretty good deal, about $180 on this one, and, well, everything I need. It'll run games, lower-end games at 1080 without really breaking a sweat, and be able to play some higher-end games pretty well. Overall, I hope it performs pretty well, but I already know, as you'll see in benchmarks. My favorite feature, though, has to be Shadowplay. 60 FPS at the monitor's native resolution. No lag, pretty much. How can anyone resist that? For memory, 8GB of DDR3 clocked at 1600 MHz and a 1TB Seagate Baracuda are going to be just fine for all my needs. For my peripherals, I picked up a Cooler Master Devastator gaming gear combo. This is a really good combo. It has a really nice looking keyboard and mouse, both very comfortable, very nice to use, and they both feel really nice. It's backlit with red LEDs, and I can't really complain. It looks really nice, especially in the dark. The only complaint I do have is that the spacebar and some of the other keys are pretty loud. But for $40, I'm getting a really good deal. As this system doesn't require a lot of power, I went with a 430 watt EVGA 80+ certified power supply. It'll do fine, it's reliable, but it doesn't really leave me a lot of expansion options. However, it was really cheap, and that's why I picked it up mainly. For the monitor, I went with a cheap 1080p monitor from Asus with a 60Hz refresh rate and a 5ms response time. Coming at $100, this was a really good deal. And finally, to wrap things up, for the case, I went with a Versa H22. Now, this case isn't phenomenal, but it was the best that I could get at this price range of about $40, because everything else was out of stock. Let's get to building. Moving on to benchmarks, I was actually very impressed with that. Initially, I was expecting to play games on high to combination of high and medium settings, but I found that playing most games on high, maxed out, resulted in a smooth 60 FPS at least. The first game I tested was Ballistic Overkill. This game isn't magnificently optimized, but using the most to run. Initially, I wanted to see what this game would perform, as I could barely play it on my previous laptop. To say the least, it blew my mind. It was so smooth on max settings. Now you'll see I don't have no max settings right now, but I was simply toying around to see what kind of performance I could get. Eventually, I settled on max settings, everything enabled, including VSync. So it was very smooth, very playable. Actually, I found I was playing better than I had on the laptop. And I guess that tends to happen as your computer gets better, as it's smoother, you play better and you play smoother. I guess that's how it works. The second game I tested was Dirty Bomb, and like Ballistic, the game performed very well on the 950. It was very smooth at max settings at 1080. It was very playable and averaging around, I'd say, about between 70 FPS and about 110. So, I mean, that's well over 60. Enable VSync, super smooth, super playable, and a super enjoyable experience. Especially for a game in beta that's also not super well optimized, the game ran very well. The next game I tested was Warface, which is another free-to-play first-person shooter. This game is probably one of the slightly more demanding free-to-play titles, though, I mean, by no means is it super demanding, and this finally put the 950 through its paces. The game was very playable, very smooth, with vertical sync enabled with everything on high, but still wasn't quite super smooth. Occasionally it would drop below 60 FPS and we'd have these small stutters when, you know, VSync wasn't doing its job perfectly. But overall, you know, it was pretty good, and it was definitely playable. Now the last game, of course, was Critical Ops. I mean, you guys saw this coming. You must have seen this coming. The game ran really well on probably what is the most demanding of the maps, being Amsterdam, with all of the rain particles, the reflections in the water to render. On Ultra, 8 times anti-aliasing, everything maxed out. At 1080, we were pushing 180 frames, 200 frames at max, and at least 100, 110, 120 frames. So, extremely playable, extremely smooth. Screen tearing was actually an issue. Our frame rate was so high. So, probably gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. I mean, it's not unbearable, but it gets pretty bad at times. Overall, this computer's performed very well, even exceeding my expectations. However, there are a couple things which are a bit of an issue. First off, mic placement. My mic isn't exactly in the best spot. I don't have a good mic stand, and it might make a little bit of noise. Second off, the computer itself is pretty loud since I went with stock cooling solutions. The AMD stock cooler is a bit on the loud side, but I think we can put up for it for a while until I can get a cheap stock cooler. But I'm happy with it. I really am. It's performing really well. It's so much easier to do all of this video stuff now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, you can dislike it, but please let me know why in the comments below. Subscribe if you'd like more Critical Ops or other FPS content. Not more PC builds, though. I'm way too broke to do this all over again. This is Rhubarb Stew. Keep on cooking.